What is going on, guys? We are here at a new location, I think pretty well lit, but in today's video I just want to talk about why I think the Golf R is one of the best options for a daily driver out there. So let's start off with the looks. Now, the Golf R, the Golf, and the GTI, from the base Golf to the GTI to the R, very subtle changes. So right off the bat, if you're talking about in terms of cop magnets, not so much. You got differences such as your grille here, all right, different wheels. This is the Lapis blue color, but if you're going for the Oryx white, the black sapphire pearl, the gray, the idiom gray, it's not going to attract much attention. And to most, it depends on where you look and your outlook. It's a negative or pro. If you want a more aggressive car, then the Golf R is not the car for you. This is an aftermarket spoiler, but coming from a GTI and a Golf R, there's a spoiler here which is a little bit more aggressive than the regular Golf. However, everything else is just the same old based on a Golf platform. For instance, the wheels are bigger, a little bit wider at 235. You have your Fender badges here that tells you it's a Golf or a GTI, but other than that, it's not going to attract much attention, all right? Unless you're going for a tornado red, Lapis blue, or any type of spectrum color, then yes, you're going to attract some attention. But in terms of just like the profile, the aerodynamics, unless you add it on aftermarket, it's not going to attract any looks. So when I say the looks is a benefit factor, why it's a daily driver, I think it's puts you in a low-key type of factor where you're kind of hiding under the radar. $40,000 for a Golf is going to be tough to take in. However, compared to the other cars, it's different. Why do I say that? Let's go ahead and talk about the Type R and the STI and the Focus RS. Focus RS and the Type R, they demanded a markup on it. The Focus RS is not being made anymore, so it's a limited run. The Type R still has a decent amount of markup depending on where you are, especially for the newer colors for the 2020, I believe, and also the Phoenix Yellow Edition. All right, so that's going to be marked up like a significant amount. If you're looking for other cars like the S3, which is in the same family as the Golf R, if you want the 4 rings, yes. If you want the brand, yes. But overall, when you come down to it, the S3 might have a better looking interior, but that's also subjective to each personal owner. I think the Golf R has a more functional interior versus the minimalistic look in the Audi S3. If you option out the S3, it's going to be at least $50K based on what you want, like the amenities that you want, like the virtual cockpit, the seats even, the wheels, the black optics, all that. It is going to put you higher in the mid 50 range rather than the low 40 range. So of course you could go CPO, but for the amount of money, I think the Golf R is the best car for the money. We'll talk about practicality. And in terms of practicality, you can't really go wrong with the hot hatch. 5-door hatchback for everyday use. That's definitely the way to go in my opinion. But yeah, let's talk about practicality. You got your 4-door hatchback. The Mark 6 was a 2-door. This is a 4-door, and it's easy access for the driver, passenger, and also your rear passengers. Back then with the Mark 6, I always had to go ahead and push the seat forward, adjust everything back, which is not really so great. It's so much easier for my passengers to get in, less hassle for me. 5-door hatchback, like I said, so you're popping the hatch. I once moved a 65-inch TV with my friend who owns a GTI, and it was no problem. This, with the Euro headrests, lower profile headrests, just fold down the seats like no problem. Have everything here. I don't know. I just, if you guys agree with me or not. You got your other door opened here. rear hatch see-through, pass-through, and that's a specialty right there, right in the middle. That's the center pass-through that not many cars offer, but in the Golf, or I think many German cars, don't quote me, just fold the armrest down. You got your 2 cup holders, adjustable cup holders for your different size drinks and whatnot. It'll be nice if they have a charging USB like the Mazdas, but we'll take it. What the main point here, what the star of the show is this folding pass-through that opens up. Skis, any type of elongated objects you could go ahead and just pass through without sacrificing seating area. So this is the 60-40 split, and I think this is one of the coolest things ever for the car. Right? Not that I use it often, but I think it's nice to have. What I do use it for is back then, not often, but you could leave this open, have 2 passengers here, all right? And then right here, you have a dog, your bed for your pups. They'll relax here. This thing either closes down or you can leave it open for more lighting. But if it's too hot, you could keep this closed so that they could be cool. And from there, they can actually access this point right here. So they'll go from the rear seats to the rear hatch if they want. And then everything's padded and they're pretty much safe. Quality-wise, the Golf R, compared to the competitors, wins it no contest. And why do I say that? I think the interior is by far the best compared to the other competitors. All right, soft touch material everywhere. You got your high quality shifter, even though this is aftermarket. The gloss black is all right. I think it's tastefully done. This was a OEM, however I retrofitted it, so it's pretty premium here. It comes standard in 2018, but smaller in the 2015 and 2017s. All right, but other than that, I think everything else here, such as, I don't know, your buttons and everything, it's not as plasticky compared to the other cars. You have a little bit of satin chrome on the edges for taste, satin chrome handles, your LED light bar here, all right? And compared to the older generations, the material here won't really fade even though I vinyl wrapped it. It's more made for, I think, longevity purposes. You have your cubby here, your European cubby that came standard in the Mark 7. Everything here is more modern, in which I'm going to go ahead and point down my next few in the next few minutes. But just overall, the feel, the fit and finish is top notch. Sliding console, which came standard in the Mark 7s, Golf R terms. And just overall, it's a nice fit and finish. You got your dark headliner, all right, soft. Just everything about it. You have your LED lighting with the vanity mirrors, instead of just you have your, you're blocking your cover versus just a mirror or a folder. And overall, I think it's a really nice fit and finish within the car. All right, and I forgot to mention in my previous point about practicality, the mat pockets here, or well, the mat pockets in the back, but the door pockets, it's pretty deep, so you have anything that you want to put in it, you can, versus the other ones which are just netting. So that kind of defeats the whole purpose of practicality. This adds on to it. I really like the fact that it has really deep door pockets. I like how Volkswagen kept the Golf R modern in terms of safety tech, in terms of just the interior cabin. Lane keeping assist right here is accessible in the left-handed stalk. You have your blind spot monitoring in each mirror, even though I think it should be a little bit brighter, or maybe have it inside so you know, or you could distinguish it between that and the left turn signal. That kind of gets a little bit confusing, but there is an option on VCDS, I believe, to make the blind spot monitoring indicator a little bit brighter. Not so much, but you could tell the difference after that modification or tweak. You have your frameless mirror, which is nice to have. It's auto dimming. Overall, the electronic parking brake, I didn't miss the e-brake at all. I thought I would miss the manual e-brake, but the electronic e-brake is actually good to have. That with the auto holding right here, every time you're in traffic, you could go ahead and give your right foot a brake. The keyless entry and the push button start is really nice to have as well. I didn't think it was going to be the case when I had the Mark 6, but right after owning a vehicle with it, I don't think I'm going to go back. The only trouble I had was with the key. I was up in Mount Washington, up in New Hampshire. I had the key right here. On top of the summit, my key fob ran out of battery, so I couldn't start the car. I started panicking a little bit, right? But at the same time though, I remember if you, based on the manual, if you run out of battery, you place it right here. It gives it enough juice based on the proximity for you to go ahead and start your vehicle. And once I was down, I went to the local pharmacy and found my CR2025, I think. I forgot the battery size, but I'll add it in the description later. Other than that, I think that's only the drawback for having a push to start is your key fob does go ahead and run out of battery. In addition, what I like to do on hot summer days like recent, I like to unlock the vehicle, hold down the unlock, and my windows will come down just so the heat will dissipate. It's going to be nice to keep that modern feature by adding a moonroof or sunroof. Well, it's going to add to the price. That's why I think Volkswagen decided to delete the sunroof for the Mark 7s. But other than that, overall, it's a really modern vehicle. And like I said before, it's really nice to have. Compared to the Dyne Audio in the Mark 6, I wouldn't know because I didn't have Dyne Audio in the Mark 6. I had a base Mark 6. But other than that, the Fender audio system is nice. It's I'm not audiophile at all, so I wouldn't be able to give you a professional review. Subwoofer in the back, which is pretty nice because the German engineering integrates your subwoofer within the tire, so that saves a lot of space in my opinion. So let's start off with the in-cabin noise. It's very quiet, not so much if you have these wind deflectors here, even though it kind of defeats the purpose. It's a wind deflector, but it's more like rain guards. Overall, this you could hear a little bit of wind noise with these on. However, what I did was, I'm not sure if I should do it, but I purchased some AliExpress items where you have extra weather sealing here. So that blocks off a lot of the noises. So that helps. I'm going to go ahead and just turn on the exhaust. Turn on the car. From here you're going to hear the exhaust. What I like about this is the fact that it only has a resonator delete, and it's a pretty subtle sound. It has good enough character for the exhaust for the Mark 7R, but it's not going to be droning inside. So I learned from the S2000, I learned from my Mark 6 with all the exhaust systems I spent so much money on. I think in the end, this is what I want. Alright, especially if you put it into sport mode. I'm going to go ahead and put it into race mode. Right here. Once you put it into drive, you hear a lot more of a deeper burble or rumble. And then from there, this to me, right now going forward, is the sound that I'm looking for at my age. A lot of people might disagree that saying the Golf R is too quiet. Yes, in terms of characteristics, it's not going to be as nice compared to the STI or even the Focus RX Crackle from factory, but in my opinion, it's a lot more better sounding than the Type R. The Mark 6 Soundaktor is so buzzy, it just shook up the whole cabin. The Mark 7, it'll vibrate the windshield a lot more, and also it'll vibrate this a little bit. But I have some weather stripping there, so it kind of just insulates the whole vibration. But when you're driving with the Mark 7 Soundaktor, I think it's a deeper rumble or a deeper induction noise inside the vehicle versus all the other Mark 6 GTIs or even the Mark 7 GTIs. So in conclusion, yes, I am a fan of the fake sound for the Mark 7. Now, in terms of handling and suspension, I think these Golf Rs, well, your Golfs in general, they gain a slight advantage already from factory. Camera ahead. Because they are so compact in size, perfect for the city, very nimble, lightweight, especially the GTIs with this new MQB platform. And it just gives you confidence in the city to just weave around and past your narrow streets, past your double parked cars with a good amount of confidence. But the why I like this, well, the car is equipped with DCC, your dynamic chassis control. It's not a must-have for your daily driver, definitely not, but it's good to have, and in turn it's like the cherry on top, because the DCC I can't recommend enough. And why do I say that? Well, right now the car is in comfort mode. No, the car is in custom mode, and that's why I like the Golf R, because it provides the opportunity to be able to customize it to your each individual preferred settings. So as of right now, I have the DCC system dampened to the most comfort, extreme, versus your race. You got your comfort, you got your normal, and you got your race. So the suspension right now is in comfort, like I said, and the steering is in race. So that increases the steering feel dramatically. You can basically feel the difference between comfort and race. Not so much from normal to race or comfort to normal, but to the extreme, it's a really nice compromise, or it kind of dials in your preferred driving modes. As of right now, the Mark 6 back then had your lowering springs. It was nice. It gave, and also a rear sway bar. It gave the Mark 6 a really direct feel to the road, and I was really confident in terms of driving it. But as an everyday driver, the dynamic chassis control system from stock is really the perfect compromise. And as long as I'm daily driving it, this is the system to have for me. And I totally recommend it. If you guys are deciding between not getting it or getting it, get it. Now, as I'm stuck in traffic right now, I think it's a good time to speak about the DSG Transmission and why I love it so much. I'm glad I went for it 3 years after owning the vehicle. As of right now, I have the adaptive cruise control, your ACC system on. So basically my foot is on the brake just in case, and from time to time, if the car stops completely, all I have to do is kind of touch the throttle and it's going to go ahead and resume function. But if you are a manual driver looking into automatic but not really quite ready to leave the manual scene, given your circumstances, you could only have one car, I would highly recommend a DSG equipped vehicle. And not even just a DSG, but any type of dual clutch enabled vehicle. And in my opinion, I think it's the best of both worlds. I'm gonna say it often, really often, but I highly believe in it, or I'm just a true believer. Why? Because it gives you the easy flowing drive when you're in the traffic scenarios. But at the same time though, if you are leaving work, no traffic, you could go ahead and just find your back roads or whatnot, throw it into manual mode, and from there you're pretty much golden. It's a really nice compromise that it's not going to go ahead and replace your normal rowing through your own gears type of feel, because that's, in my opinion, nothing's going to replace that. Your downshifting, your heel towing when you get it right. I haven't really driven the ZF8s, or I haven't daily driven it, but those, I can't tell you if it's true or not in terms of it being responsive with the downshifting. But with my dad's old vehicles, the RX350, the Lexus, the XC60 as of right now, the paddle shifters are just really non-responsive, and I tend to find myself driving in D or in drive mode and not in your manual mode at all. So I think it's something that you should look into if you want to go ahead and stick with an automatic car. The DSG is something that you should really consider. Now, picking up from my previous point about how the DSG and the Golf R is one of the perfect combinations for a daily driver, I think the DSG and the Powertrain is one of the best combinations as well. And why do I say that? Well, the Golf R is powered by an EA888 2.0 liter turbocharged engine. In the Golf R, you're running the IS38 turbo, and in the GTI, you're running the IS28. But other than that, what I'm saying is this motor is pretty much, it's been tried and true for the Mark 7s. It's pushing out a lot of torque and a decent amount of power just from factory. Like as of right now, open road right here, but sooner or later you're gonna run out open road. After all that, I guess my point is, no matter how fast your car is, or no matter how much power you're putting down, eventually you're going to be running out the same roads that we drive in, and we're going to end up in the same spot. What I mean by that is, you know, you're going to end up in one of your most favorite places, your drag strip, and that's where the Mark 7s, or the Golfs in general, will go ahead and have their time to shine and hang with the big boys, because these cars with the bolt-on and a tune, they're pretty much putting down respectable quarter-mile times. But on a Monday morning, on the way to work, you're sipping your coffee, stuck in your morning traffic. So again, keeping up with the theme, best of both worlds. So as of right now, standstill traffic, I just leave my shifter or my gear into D, which is drive. Usually what you could do is you could even leave on your adaptive cruise control. Alright, and then from there you can set it to whatever mileage that you want. In terms of distance, I'm going to keep it a little bit lower, like shorter, because we are in standstill traffic, so I don't want to leave a big gap in between me. But this is why the DSG is so good. In combination with your adaptive cruise control, it kind of functions as your autonomous driving. It's not going to be your Tesla. First initial reaction. My dad's Volvo, I think, has better driving or ACC compared to this vehicle, but it completes the purpose. So if you're in rush hour traffic and you just kind of want to just like relax, the car automatically brakes for you. And then if you're in a complete stop, then you have to touch up your throttle, and then you could keep going. But if you don't go on a complete stop, the system will resume everything for you. Now, in terms of lane departure, I guess I'll touch up on it for like a different video or maybe in a different point. But all these safety features are one of the main reasons, or another main reason why I chose this over the other competitors, because it came standard, or it came as an option to have for the money. But as of right now, I'm gonna go ahead and just increase my miles per hour because the traffic's freeing up. Alright, so it should be braking for me right now. Alright, and it is. And as long as it doesn't stop completely, then I should be good to go. My foot is off the pedal. Now, a lot of the points I'm making today can be applied interchangeably between the Golf R and the GTI, which of course was the original hot hatch. It's widely popular throughout the world and definitely should not be discredited. After all, the GTI is 90% R. It's got the same engine, the same chassis, similar aero kits, the interior is practically identical, and the aftermarket parts, for the most part, is compatible between both models. So, of course you can argue, wait a minute, why not the GTI then? Well, yes, that is all true. One can argue that the GTI is a better value than the R because it is 10 grand less. But having said all that, the last point is reserved for the R. The Golf R has a slight advantage, or some might even argue a huge one, compared to most of the hot hatches out there. And that is the Haldex system, which is the Golf R's all-wheel drive system. Now, when you compare both the Autobahn GTI and the Golf R's, the difference in price drops significantly once you option out the two of them equivalently. The way I see it, especially if you're in the Northeast during winter, especially if the car is running winter tires, you're pretty much set. So not only during inclement weather, but those who are serious about modding other Mark 7s, it is nice to have all four wheels put down the power, less the wheel slip and the torque steer. Now, before we turn this into an all-wheel drive comparison, I'm just saying, with the Haldex system, you're taken care of with the occasional snowfall and putting power down during acceleration. And simply put, it serves as a peace of mind that you'll be ready for the unforeseen circumstances. The Mark 7 has been such a great car to own in the past 3 years. It's almost been too good. I'm not used to that. Now, dare I even say it, too boring? But in a way, a good thing, because there's no crazy surprises. It's been reliable. Now, I purchased the vehicle pre-owned, so it basically came with a fair share of rock chips and your little micro scratches here and there. So therefore, I didn't really justify, or couldn't justify, a PPF on it, which led me to a more stress-free life of owning the vehicle so far, less worrisome about where I park. But speaking of parking, the vehicle, like I said before, is so compact I could virtually fit into any type of parking space in the city. It's a good time right now to do a non-sponsored plug of what I think is one of the best bumper protection systems out there for the Golfs anyway, because of where the license plate bracket location is. Now, it is a product called the Prime or the Prime Duo from a company called 4Bumpers. It's literally a steel bumper license plate bracket frame where if you install it, it prevents your bumper from getting tapped, scratched up, or even possibly at a low speed rear end collision to protect your rear hatch, which is a pain to replace from what I hear. But anyway, that is my argument of why the Golf R is the best daily driver. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys have another nomination or candidate for a better daily driver out there. As always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Oh man, what is with the wind? I'm gonna get clowned on. Hairs flying everywhere.